Check, 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 check. Let me know if you guys can hear us okay. How you doing? Good, good, good. Excellent. Welcome to the show, Paul Roberts. Thank you so much for joining us today. And
Thank you for having me.
yeah, no problem. I really appreciate you being here and your time. And basically, Zephyr, I know.
Oh,
What are you,
guys.
chopped liver? He's like, hey guys.
I'm gonna stand
Zephyr's
quietly in the
awesome.
background.
Zephyr's been he's been really helping out on Sundays, getting the show off the ground, and just I really appreciate everyone coming together and watching the show. And basically, what happened with Paul and me finding him on the internet is I was kind of like googling some ghost things and came across Halo Paranormal Investigations and had some interesting stories behind it. And I looked, and it actually was out of Elk Grove, which is like right next to me in Sacramento. So I gave him a call after 2 or 3 days of stewing on it, whether I should even call him, and then he agreed to be on the show, and told him we want to pick his brain, and yeah, now we're
So
here.
Paul, so Paul's big thing right now, I believe, is doing paranormal investigations. Looks like you've gone to all over the world doing paranormal investigations. Been on television, um, under different shows. It looks like you've done quite a bit of work. How long have you been doing the paranormal investigations, Paul?
I've been on 2,000 investigations and I've started back in 2006.
Okay.
Nice.
So I've been doing this for a little while. Yeah.
What kind of led down that way in 2006? Did some things happen, or it just kind of like timing and preparedness came together? And
Well, as a child, I lived in this haunted house. Okay. Either it was haunted or I was having childhood nightmares. All kinds of things were centered on me. And it frightened me so much. I mean, like a little boy, I got this PTSD from all the things that happened to me over there. And do you guys want to hear some of the things that happened to me over there? Or, I mean,
Yes.
sure, yeah,
oh, okay,
definitely.
okay. And this is crazy, but there was like this thing that looked like a black tea kettle, and it had wheels, and it's rolling down the sidewalk, goes up to my bedroom window. The window raises up, the snout points towards me, and this spray hits me. The next day, I was deathly sick. I had like bronchitis and all kinds of weird stuff. Um, I I was at another point in time. I heard a woman's voice, and she called me by my middle name. She goes, "Dale, come here." She was trying to entice me to go into the orange grove, and I wouldn't do it. And I ran to my mother. Another night, I'm seeing these flying skulls with wings. Okay, and it sounds crazy. I don't know if this was real or not, but anyway, my mother came in because I started coughing. She gave me poison, and not on purpose, but she was half asleep and she gave me poison. And back in those days, they used to have the skull bones on the medicine bottle,
Mm.
so it was actually poison. So she made me throw it up and everything else. So, and another time, an entity threw me into the heater and burned my leg. So all these things were happening to me. And when we moved away from that house, everything was back to normal. But it just stayed in my mind. And before I knew it, I was reading paranormal books. I was reading Brad Steiger and everything else. And as I became an adult, my stories were now in Brad Steiger's books. So that was pretty impressive to be in this Legends book. So anyway, yeah, so everything just kind of led me down there because the paranormal was always in my head. I started looking into UFOs and cryptids and everything else. Never did I know that I was going to become a paranormal investigator. But then I was an MP, military policeman in the Army. That helped me with my investigative skills because I was recruited to work undercover with the drug suppression team, CID, Criminal Investigation Division in Germany. So I did that. And then I had a 3 year break. And then when I went back into the service, I went military intelligence. I was an intelligence analyst, 97 Bravo. And the reason why I got into military intelligence, because I said, if anyone knows about UFOs, it would be the intelligence
Yeah.
community. And so I joined that. And as becoming a paranormal investigator, when I got out of service in 86, I ran across this ghost hunter. She goes, Paul, you know so much about the paranormal, you ought to join us and you can probably write an article. I was also too writing stories for various magazines and stuff like that. So I joined them, wrote an article, and it was published over in England in one of the magazines over there. The lady who was running the group, HPI, at that time was called Haunted Paranormal Investigations, told me to join the team as their scribe. And I was writing stories for them. And then I became a paranormal investigator and I took over the group.
Oh,
And
cool.
here we are.
Was
Nice.
it based out of Sacramento at the time?
Yeah, based out of Sacramento, but now it's based out of Elk Grove.
Okay. Can we go back just a second to the Germany when you were doing the was it you said CID?
Yeah, CID, Criminal Investigation Division. And I was an MP working undercover for them.
Because when I read that, it reminded me of a movie I saw called Buffalo Soldiers with Joaquin Phoenix, where he was on a base in Germany and he was like selling heroin and stuff, and it took place
Yeah,
like '86. I don't know if you ever
right.
saw it, but it sounds very
I saw
similar to what.
that.
Okay,
I saw that movie.
was it
Yeah.
pretty realistic then?
Pretty realistic. Yeah.
So you were busting guys like that.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And we worked with the German Kripo and we were busting German citizens who were selling drugs to the soldiers.
Oh,
So, yeah, so I traveled throughout Germany. And the glory of the job was you got to wear civilian clothes, you got to wear your hair long,
nice.
yeah, yeah. So it was really cool. I mean, I didn't look like a soldier. I looked like this citizen of Germany. And I spoke pretty good German during that time when I was over there. I lost most of it because I have no one to practice with. Yeah.
Sproken Sie Deutsch? Is that like
Yeah.
no?
Yeah. Yeah. I would say, haben Sie Zigaretten bitte? Was ist los with you? Du ist mal Scheibe bitte? Lass mich lieber Schnucki Putzi, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Let's keep it family friendly.
Hey, yeah. Let's not talk about our schnitzel.
uh,
Yeah.
Were you
Go ahead.
go ahead, Ross.
No, go ahead.
Did I see something that you were help training people to identify UFOs?
Well, when I was in military intelligence, on one particular day, 6 photographs came in. And with these 6 photographs, they represented a video. And these were taken by our reconnaissance satellites and reconnaissance airplanes. And like one photograph would be cigar shape, another one starlight, another one globe shape, another one saucer shape, et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
And behind the photograph, it said intelligent movement. So I knew at that point of time, even though that Project Blue Book shut down back in the late 60s, the military intelligence was still investigating UFOs. And that was just totally fascinating. And me, the only thing I had to do was provide it with a number, the photograph, and it went to the DIA, Defense Intelligence Agency, and then it went to the CIA and into a black hole because where the photographs went to, who knows?
Wow.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
just a piece in the chain, a huge long
exactly.
chain.
Yeah, yeah. So
Compartmentalized a little bit.
yeah, and I was with the Photo Interpretation Center in Korea. I was stationed at Yongsan, Seoul, Korea, and at this place they had image interpreters. And my job was an intelligence analyst. I had a simple job. I was just assigning numbers to photographs and all this other stuff. While the image interpreters, they were doing things where they're actually looking at the reconnaissance photograph using the thing that looks like a microscope and telling you a little dot was a T-72
Oh.
tank.
Hmm.
So it was crazy.
Wow, super interesting. That's really fun.
You mentioned on your bio too that you have been to Area 51.
Yes, not inside, but outside of the gate. So we did a lot of interviews. The people are over at it was called the Ailey Inn. Okay, they actually let us camp out in the parking lot. They took us to an abandoned village over there, and they had no idea why the village was abandoned.
Hmm.
But they said the place was just super haunted. We got a couple of EVPs. That was kind of cool. We went up to the gate, and as we got to the gate, I was looking up on the hillside, and I see this guy in camis looking at me with binoculars. Well, I was looking at him with binoculars. And at that point in time, he takes a sniper rifle out from his back and he points it at me. I
Whoa.
said, I think it's time for us to go. So we left. They don't play any games over there. So if I had crossed that line, either I was going to be arrested or even the sign says they can shoot to kill. So it's like, okay, this is some pretty serious stuff. But we did a lot of interviews with people. I interviewed this one lady. If you hear a snoring, that's my dog.
I do.
I was like, what is that?
It's a ghost.
I'm like, oh my God, it's
Yeah,
happening right now.
and she has to be right with me. It's like, and she's sleeping away. But anyway,
It's hilarious.
wake up. So anyway, um, so we interviewed this one lady, and she said that um, the strangest experience that she ever had, she saw this was like a miniature UFO, had wings, and was hovering. It was hovering at her eye level, and there was a pilot inside, and he was waving at her, and it zips off. Those are the kind of stories that you get. It's like, okay, that's just
Wait.
really
So this
weird.
was an interview you did at Area 51.
Yeah, at the Alien. So everybody there, if you walk in there and you get a beer, everybody's talking UFOs.
Sure.
Everybody,
So
Uh,
she said that she saw like a UFO like this big flying hovering close.
no, it was a UFO, a regular size where it can actually fit a guy,
Okay.
but it came to her at eye level.
Wow.
And she could see the pilot, and she said it looks like a human pilot, and he was waving at her.
Wow.
And
It's better than getting flipped off.
yeah, and she swore up and down this actually occurred. So, yeah, but
Wow,
it was
really cool.
it was very interesting though.
I'm getting a chat connection up.
I got this question about UFOs. So I believe since like around the 70s, scientists all over the world have been trying to communicate with life, sending signals out, trying to hear signals. But if we're also having all these sightings, do you have like your own theory of why they're not communicating on that level, but they are showing up?
Um, my theory is that it's sort of like the zoo effect. Like we go to the zoo and we look at animals. Okay. Um, I believe what they're doing is observing us, testing us, doing the experiments with us, and kind of kicking back and letting us do our own thing. Um, it's sort of like a federation code. Don't interfere with the humans, but watch over them. And that's why you have, like in the Bible, you have things called the watchers and everything else, because they're basically watching us, observing us, and every once in a while they interact with us so they can experiment on us and stuff like that. And I think what they're trying to do is help us evolve, becoming from Homo sapiens to Homo superior. They want us to get to their level. And when we get to their level, that's when they'll make direct contact with us.
And I heard that we actually started having a lot more sightings and such after we detonated a nuclear bomb. Is that something that you've heard?
Absolutely. Because when that detonation happened, it also too not just affects this world, but affects the whole universe. Everything is like a chain reaction. So when that occurred, that's when all the UFO activity, because they may may not want us to do that because we don't know what we're doing, and it could affect a whole chain of things, in the universe.
That's wild.
Oh yeah,
So they're basically looking at us like spoiled teenagers that need to grow up a little bit
exactly.
before
They're waiting for us to mature.
they're like,
Yeah, mature to the level.
you can't play with the TV till you guys grow up a little bit. No spaceships.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There's so many questions that come to mind, and I want to hear, I guess, just kind of like your take on some of these things, and um, the UFOs. There's kind of my particular interest ever since I was little. You watch the unsolved mysteries and the abductions, and do
Oh
it.
yeah, there we go. X Files. Yeah. Um, you know, we've done UFO investigations at Skinwalker Ranch, Mount Shasta, Monterey Bay. Um, we had a series of phone calls come from Monterey where they were saying that were seeing unidentified submerged objects underwater coming out of the water and becoming what we call UFOs and flying away. So we stayed at this rapper's house in Seaside because he was one of the callers. I can't think of his name right now, but supposedly he rapped with Snoop Dogg. But anyway, he had a very beautiful house. He had a very picturesque window that faced the bay. And we stayed up all night looking at the bay, but we didn't see any UFOs. And Mount Shasta, the biggest thing that we had over there is we did a Bigfoot UFO hunt. And Bigfoot usually communicates by wood on wood. So if you take a piece of wood and you hit a tree or something like that, you will hear that noise echoing somewhere else in the woods. That's another Bigfoot communicating with the other Bigfoot. So I did that. So I hit this tree 3 times with a piece of wood, and I didn't get a wood knock back, but I did get 3 rocks hitting the creek behind me,
Mm.
hitting the water 3 times. And I looked behind me, there was no humans there, there was no people. I A bear couldn't have thrown those rocks. It had to be something, but it was really, really unusual. So that occurred. We had Sylvia Brown's secretary with us, and she supposedly is a psychic. And she says, Paul, take a picture of me. I took a picture of her, and she says, you're going to see some kind of anomaly in the photograph. So I took the picture, and right behind her was a disc shaped UFO way far away, tilted. And that photograph actually got into a magazine. It was very impressive because she knew that there was something behind her. And when I took that photograph, I actually had a picture of a UFO. So that was one of my very interesting UFO cases.
I went up to Mount Shasta probably about 4 years ago. It's the first time I've actually ever been up there. It is so beautiful up there, and I heard there's actually a lot of hippies and stuff up there too. I heard that it's actually a very spiritual area. Like people come from all over the world out to Mount Shasta. Do you know anything about why Shasta is like particularly, I don't know, just one of those sites where people are drawn to?
Well, they say that Mount Shasta actually sits on a ley line, and ley line it has this thing going on. UFOs are attracted to it. Everything that is uh, abnormal or paranormal is attracted to that. And people who are sensitive or are psychic are drawn to those ley lines. And so it seems like Mount Shasta attracts these people, or people who are just interested in UFOs, Bigfoot, ghosts, or whatever. They say, hey, Mount Shasta is the hot spot for the paranormal. So they're also too attracted. So
Hmm.
um, a lot of people I talked to in Haight Ashbury and San Francisco have been to places like Mount Shasta. They're attracted to those hot zones of the paranormal.
What was the Skinwalker Ranch that has definitely a spooky name to it? What was the story with that, and where did that all go down and take place?
Well, the ranch itself was owned by I believe it's the Gordon family originally owned it. And all kinds of things were happening to them. And on one particular night, they saw what looked like a wolf was chewing on the leg of one of their calves. So the father and son came out there and start shooting this wolf. Well, the bullets were bouncing off the wolf. It was like a bulletproof wolf. It was just trotting away, walking away, and they that was their first strange experience at Skinwalker Ranch. Then they started getting poltergeist activity. Their cabinets were opening up, their dishes were falling out of cabinets. Um, Another particular night, they saw what looked like an RV going up the road, and the RV transformed into a UFO and flew away. So, with all the things that are happening at Skinwalker Ranch, and also too, the government went and bought the ranch and had their scientists living at the ranch. And one of the scientists came out and said that he actually saw a portal open up, and what looked like a Bigfoot creature came out of the portal and ran off into the woods. So, with all these different stories, I have to check out Skinwalker Ranch. So, I went there with a couple of investigators. It was a very stormy night. We were trying to set up our tent. I fell in the mud 1,000 times over. Um, I tried to get some recordings of some kind of screeching noise. Um, and when I played the recorder back, you couldn't hear it because the rain was pounding so hard. The only other thing that I saw, but may have a more natural explanation, is I saw what looked like ball lightning, and it came out from the sky, it hit the ground and rolled away and dissipated.
Hmm.
So, and ball lightning, that's the first time I've ever seen it. But I wouldn't say it was paranormal, but it was very, very unusual. And a lot of unusual things happen there. Now they have scientists over there now, which they actually film for the History Channel, Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch. So I've been keeping my eye on that.
Ball lightning kind of sounds like it's from Street Fighter 2, like Ken and Ryu can throw ball lightning.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Did it move quick? Did it just like come down like just?
yeah. It came down quick. It rolled like a bowling ball, and then
Wow.
dissipated. Yeah, and that was very surprising. Plus, there was all kinds of lightning, so it was crazy. And so we stayed out there as long as we could. The rain was pelting so hard. Finally, we just said, let's get out of here. We went and got a hotel room. The next morning, one of the investigators had pneumonia. So it's like, okay, we can't stay here any longer. We got to get her back home. And that's what we did.
What do you think's like some of the strangest, most interesting things you've encountered?
Well, my best paranormal ghost investigation happened in Citrus Heights. And I had 15 scouts with me, and the scouts are paranormal investigators in training. So I had five in one room, five in another room, and five in another room. Well, 10 of them in two rooms were falling asleep because nothing was happening. And then the other room with 5 investigators, all kinds of things were happening. As soon as I walked in there, you can hear a little girl giggling. And I said, wow. I said, can you hear that? They said, Paul, we're recording it. And I said, well, she's no more than maybe 3 feet in front of my face, but I can't see her. But she's sitting on the corner of this bed giggling. And I hear the giggle again. And I said, that's amazing. And I put my head down towards the giggle and I go, hello. And she goes, hello. And I go, holy crap. I believe in the paranormal. I believe in the afterlife because I'm actually hearing it. It's happening right now. So I said, okay, let's get all 15 people in here. So we got all 15 people in here. We're doing like a little seance type thing. And on the walls, you can hear a pounding, bam, 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 bam. And all 15 of these scouts were running out the door, scared to death.
Wow.
And I said, okay, we have to keep on going. I mean, this is history here. We got to get them back. So I got them all back. So we're doing this again. And we have 3 walkie-talkies on the floor.
Oh, nice.
And with these 3 walkie-talkies on the floor, one walkie-talkie turns on and it's a man's voice. And he goes, get out.
Oh, no.
All 15 people are running out the door again. Finally, the owner of the house, she looks at me, she goes, Paul, I have to live here. So maybe we should stop. I go, okay, fine. She goes, but you're welcome to stay in this bedroom all night. I go, fantastic. So I had the camera rolling. I fell asleep, and on the camera, on the video, you can hear a woman's voice going, Paul, Paul, Paul. There's a man's voice is mumbling. On the headboard, there's a little tap. And at the foot of the bed, there's a little boy, and he's moaning. And I slept through the whole thing. So yeah, that's okay. That's why I keep on going to these paranormal investigations, because I'm always looking for that moment that I experienced at Citrus Heights. Sure, I get EVPs and everything else. In fact, I went on an investigation Friday night, and here's my little digital recorder, and I'll play one of the EVPs that I got if you want to hear it.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Let's hear
Let
it.
me,
And
then-
I hate to cut you off, Paul, but we're getting that Zoom, thing where it says we only have 5 minutes left of the Zoom meeting, and then we'll have to send out another invite. So I'd like to quickly, I'll get another invite out to you in an email real quick, since we're running out of Zoom time, and then just get you back on the Zoom meeting in about 30 seconds or a minute, if that's okay.
okay, that sounds good. Yeah.
Okay, I'll go ahead and
Are-
end this one now, send out a new fresh invite, and we're going to go to Nate on the other camera for just a minute, and we'll come back. Thank you.
I mean, we got 6 minutes left. Is there a reason why you want to clear out
no,
now?
we can go another 6 minutes. Yeah, let's just
Yeah.
do it.
Oh, okay,
Max it
okay.
out.
Yeah, let's hear what you got, Paul.
Okay, cool. Okay. Okay, here we go. Is there anybody here? Can you hear that?
Yep, I heard
It's
that.
saying, it says, can you leave?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Creepy crazy.
Can we hear it one more time?
Okay, sure.
It'd be a good sample for IDJ. We could put that right before the drop.
Do you want me to
Oh,
leave
wait.
or do you want them to leave?
Let me get to the number. Okay. Is there anybody here?
Oh.
Yeah, it says, can you leave? Yeah, I like that one. It's like, wait for it, boom, can you leave? Yeah.
I mean, just the crackling noise itself sounds like creepy and stuff. But
Yeah.
so let me ask you this, Paul. I'm curious. It seems like situations like walking into these situations, to me, it sounds like it could be extremely scary, super creepy. Like, is that what you're looking for? You like being scared, or like, what's the appeal of doing this type of work?
I just have a very strong curiosity. And like I said, what happened to me in Citrus Heights, I want it to happen again because I was just so amazed. I mean, I don't get scared, but I get super excited. It
Mhm.
was like, it's like little boy in me, or
Chasing the rush.
or you, it's just like in the video games, you get in that high level, woo, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for that thrill, so.
I noticed. So there was on your bio, as it said something about the show Haunted on Netflix, and it said you investigated Marissa Rojas. Is this the same Citrus Heights, or is that different?
Yeah, Marissa Rojas. Oh God, I think she lives in Sacramento. Yeah,
I've s- I've I've been a fan of that show. That show is scary as hell.
yeah,
On a lot of the episodes, they talk about how they're being attacked by these ghosts, like physically attacked. That sounds like that would be beyond scary.
yeah.
So I imagine some of the investigations you go to, the people have mentioned that they have been physically like touched or something like that.
Oh yeah. People that I investigate, a lot of times they either got scratched. I've had women who told me that a demonic force has actually forcefully had sex with them. I mean, you hear some crazy, crazy stories. Did it happen? Well, that's where the paranormal investigator comes in and tries to figure it out to see if it actually did happen. Um, Even though I do get a thrill out of this, I also too enjoy helping people. So when I do a Roman Catholic house blessing, and my wife does a metaphysical cleansing, and we're very successful in getting the entities
Hmm.
out. So yeah, so it is, and it's really nice to see them happy and going, oh, the place is, it feels clean again, and da da da, so um, that part's nice.
It probably brings back feelings of when you were a kid and you moved and you didn't have to deal with that stuff anymore. It's quite a relief.
Exactly. Right.
Did
Right.
your parents believe that it was happening to you?
No. No.
Yeah, that must be super frustrating.
Yeah. 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 So, yeah, they didn't believe me at all. But I know something happened to me. Either I have a great imagination and I feel like those things happened to me, childhood nightmares, or they actually did happen to me.
It kind of sounds like you were almost trained for it. Like they knew that you should be doing something in that field, like you would make a difference. So they had to make sure that you believed or that you would be interested. So yeah, they were like almost, training you to, fight the fight, fight the good fight.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Um, Also, too, you have to ask me about my best demon case.
Okay. Yeah, this might be a
Okay.
good point to. We'll switch this Zoom meeting off since we have a minute left, and then I'm going to get another link generated for a new Zoom meeting, and then we'll come right back. We'll come back to that exact question. That sounds great. All right, I'm going to
Okay.
end this
Sounds good.
call, and I'll send out a new email. And everyone listening, just hang tight. Nate has something to say from our sponsor. One second.
There are we? Am I back here? Test, 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 test. I can't hear anything, but I'll just assume it's working. All right. So when we jump back on there, we'll be jumping back on there in a minute. Let me. I really can't hear anything. Ross is. There's no. Oh, there is levels over there. Okay. So let me look in the chat room. Jump over here real quick. DJ Amberlay was joking about a show called Skinwalker Ranch. I'm curious how they got the name Skinwalker. I mean, you name a ranch Skinwalker, you're just begging, you're just asking for trouble, aren't you? Let's see. She said, I've recorded some audio things that were pretty crazy. Curious what that is. Amber, what was the crazy things you recorded? Let's see what we got here. Saying hello to Zephyr. Chilling on a sun. Oh, the doctor is in. Oh, the doctor. What's up? I'm not sure who that is. Do you know who that is? 415, the doc.
Yeah, I know, doctor. Tell him I said, what's up?
Ross said, shut up.
No, that's not what I said. That is funny.
Entity's on here. What's up, Entity?
You're doing great.
I know I've seen Entity DJ a long time ago, but he's a drum and bass DJ, right?
And an MC.
And an MC. Oh, that's how I remember MC.
All right, I think we got our Zoom meeting up and running again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Alrighty.
we'll switch screens.
Where'd you send the invite? Facebook. Join in the.
All right.
Zoom.
Check 1 2. Check.
If anybody has any questions for,
Yo, Doctor 415, what's up, man? Big ups, man. How you doing, Adagio? How you
if anyone's
doing?
got any questions for Paul, just put them in the chat.
Yeah.
We'll ask them for you.
Well, we can throw out the Zoom meeting too if anyone wants to join and get weird, or if you want to whisper me your phone number, we could take a phone call or something.
Nice.
2 people have entered. I guess I'll let you guys in. You guys are cool. Paul, you're cool. Okay, you're in. You're in, Paul. They're joining us. We're gonna get the audio set up real quick, and then we're gonna talk to Paul about his what the demon case is. Was that the question? His best.
You
demon?
said you have a great demon story.
Oh, yes.
I'm rubbing my hands together and grabbing the popcorn.
So yeah, okay. Let's get the campfire going. Let's get the marshmallows going. Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
So
All right.
it was a dark and stormy night.
Little Johnny Walker. Yeah. Okay.
Whatever. Wet your whistle. Cheers, everybody.
Okay. This one case I had. Okay. I was driving through the Stockton area, and I get a call on the paranormal hotline, and it's a lady. She says, we really need your help. We need it as soon as possible. We have a demon that appears in the hallway. It looks like a black mass, and it attacks us.
Whoa.
And I said, wow, I'm over here in Stockton. Where are you at? And they told me. And I said, well, I'm very close. I said, I can stop by right now. Well, also too, mind you, I was a new paranormal investigator. One of the things that you do as a paranormal investigator, never go by yourself. Always bring somebody else with you, just in case things get crazy. So anyway, I went by myself. I was greeted at the door by a woman, looked like she was in her 60s, very friendly woman, smiling, happy, and she was very happy to let me in. They raised parrots, and so they had parrots all around the house. Her roommate was her goddaughter, who was in her 30s. Anyway, I always write an article on all my paranormal cases. So I usually do an interview with the client, and so I was interviewing the woman who was in her 60s, and from this very sweet woman with a very kind face, in my eyes, it seemed like as more I was talking to her, her face was distorting into something evil.
Mm-hmm.
As the interview progressed, she actually looked hideous. From what I saw when she first opened the door, it was a transformation that was actually happening in front of my eyes. And I said, okay, what's going on? And one of the things that she told me is that this demon appears around about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. So they wanted me to hang out till that time so I could see the demon for myself. And she says that the demon actually is biting us. So the goddaughter and her were showing me bite marks on her neck, on her shoulders, on her legs, etc. And I started thinking to myself, well, maybe they're biting each other. It's hard to believe that this demon's actually biting them. So anyway, as I was talking to her more with this interview, she says that I get visions, and I go, or nightmares. And I go, what are your visions and your nightmares? She goes, I have visions of killing men. And mind you, I'm the only man in that house. And I
Ouch.
said,
Get
and
out.
yeah, I said, and how do you envision killing these men? She goes, with a baseball bat. I said, wow, okay.
Wow.
And in my mind, I said, maybe I need to get out of here.
At least take the baseball bat out of the living room.
Yeah.
Take that from your hand.
Put a helmet on, maybe. I don't know.
So 10 more minutes into this interview, and I happen to look in the living room, and her goddaughter is holding a baseball bat, is going around in circles, and has this maniacal look on her face. She looked like the Joker, and laughing and going around in circles with a baseball bat.
Holy cow.
Well, at this time, I said, you know something? I said, look, I just live right down the street. I said, let me get this story to my publisher. I'll be back to help you with this demon case. And they said, are you sure you're going to come back? I said, yeah, I'm positive I'm going to come back. I ran out the door with my laptop. I was so scared, I left the cell phone. And I'll tell you right now, I'm not afraid of ghosts, but I am afraid of a 30-year-old woman with a baseball bat.
Mm.
So that
Truth,
was
truth.
So yeah, that was my craziest demon case that I ever had, and
And he never went back.
never went.
So you
back.
didn't get your cell
Yeah.
phone back? Is that?
And no, I never got my cell phone. I went and bought another cell phone. Yeah, it was.
I liked how you mentioned like the 2 to 3 a.m. thing, because I've heard that ghosts will only come out like after 3 a.m., specifically 3:33, which is a derivative of 666,
Right.
which is like mocking, God. So that's pretty awesome.
And 6:66 a.m. is too early.
Yeah.
Too early. Just want to touch base with the chat crowd real quick and say what's up to everybody. I just appreciate you guys tuning in. We got JRiz916. What's up, buddy? How you doing, JR? DJ Amber Lay. What's up, Entity? Kevin, how you doing, man? And we got Doctor 415. What's up, man? How you doing? And let's see, anyone else up in here? Jungle?
A lot of
Hey.
junglists up there.
There are junglists in here. That's our style of music that we play. Anyways, all right, that's it. That's the shout out to the chat crew. And
I got a weird question for you. So I remember hearing one time that I think it's if you buy a house, there is a clause sometimes in the contract saying something about being haunted or something like that. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Like, I don't know if it has something to do, like if you buy the house and you find out later it's haunted, maybe you get some money back or something like that. Do you ever get called in for something like that? Having to like prove a house is haunted for like real estate agents or something like that?
Yeah.
Normal
We
insurance.
part of escrow.
we actually had 2 investigators who were real estate agents, and they said there is a clause. If someone died in the house, they have to inform the buyer that someone died in the house. We were going to work with this one lady named Lori Schultz, and she was going to have YouTube videos in which she would take a house that she is going to buy, and it was up to us to figure out if the house was haunted or not. And my wife, she's a psychic medium, so she picks up on things, pretty quickly. And then me, the paranormal investigator, in getting the evidence. But that never came about. So, but yeah, there is definitely a clause. The real estate agent is supposed to tell the person who's going to be buying the house that the place had a death in it.
like if someone like murdered their whole family. Like
Oh, exactly.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
It just seems like it'd be really hard to like get your money back. Like, yeah, we trying to take pictures of ghosts or something like that. It seems like it'd be very difficult to try to actually carry that through legally.
Right. There was one house that we did in Yuba City, and the family was moving out. They wanted us there to prove that there was ghosts there, and they were actually suing the landlord. So it was a rented house, and they were going to sue the landlord. And I don't think we got much evidence over there. Yeah. So yeah.
I think it'd be fun to touch on the dancing aspect of the bio, just really quick, just because that seemed pretty interesting. You're Guinness Book World Record holder of disco dancing, correct?
Right, right. Back in the 70s. So when I got out, okay, I was in the Army from 73 to 76. And when I was working undercover, I was hanging out at a lot of discos. So I picked up on disco dancing. So when I got out in 1976, I had a 3-year break before I went back into the Army. 1976, disco was getting very popular in the United States. So one of my first jobs, and I needed a job because I just got out of the Army, I was working at Arthur Murray's as a dance instructor. And I was entering some contests, and sometimes I would be first place, second place, whatever, right? So I had this one guy who told me, he goes, Paul, you're always out here every night in the nightclubs dancing and blah, blah, blah. He goes, you ought to do like a marathon. So my very first marathon was for 72 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the very first one. And I had a 15-minute break on every hour. Well, Guinness Book of World Records said you can't take a 15-minute break on every hour. You have to take 5 minutes.
Okay.
So after I did 72 hours, some guy picked up on it and he did 163 hours. So he was, oh yeah, now he had the Guinness Book of World Records. So the newspapers came to me and they said, hey, Paul, you want to beat this guy? And I said, yeah. And I said, I'll do 205 hours. Wow. So that's 8.5 days.
That's a lot of disco.
I had a 5-minute break on every hour. And during that 5 minutes, if I needed to do a number 2, I had to do it during the 5 minutes. Now, if I was doing a number 1, I had witnesses who came to the bathroom. I had to keep my feet moving while I'm doing this number 1.
Doing the P dance.
Yeah.
So you think since you worked for the CIA and you were in the dance competition that there's a slight chance of some footage of this on tape somewhere, like the CIA was?
All you have to do, no, military intelligence, am I? But if you Google Paul Dale Roberts disco, hey,
good.
Paul Dale Roberts disco. Okay, hey, calm down. So anyway, Paul Dale Roberts disco, you'll see some pictures, you'll see some write-up on it, and blah, blah, blah.
Very cool.
Okay.
I was saying to Paul earlier, I got a lot of living to do because you've had some pretty awesome stuff in your bio. So I got some catching up to you, I think.
I would have loved to seen that very last like 5 hours of you dancing. You must have just been like, ugh.
Yeah. Oh, check this out. Okay, so during the 205 hours, okay, when I'm ready to collapse, they had this woman, she was German. She had to be on steroids. She had muscles. She had more muscles than Arnold Schwarzenegger during his good days. And she would hold me up, and I had to keep my little feet moving. She would hold me up on a slow dance. And then at some point in time, I go, you know what? I can do it on my own now. You can let me go. So she would let me go, and I went crazy and doing my stuff, and people were cheering and all that other stuff. Yeah.
Are you Paul Roberts on YouTube? I think
Paul Dale Roberts. Oh yeah, it should be Paul Roberts.
So
yeah,
I looked up
YouTube.
a disco 1979 Paul Dale Roberts. Is this you? Is this?
Yeah, that's me. Yeah,
Oh my god.
Nice.
yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
It has some shine to it, but
But also too, if you do just Google Paul Dale Roberts disco, you'll see the actual some of the news articles on it.
oh, you can't really see too good. But yeah, there's
Yeah.
a picture of Paul partying it up, looking
Nice.
like me in my raver days at parties.
A lot of bright colors. A lot of bright colors.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, you're.
Oh, now check this out. In 1979, disco died. Okay, so after I'm doing all this stuff, they send me down to Hollywood. I filmed for a show called Grad Night. I do a disco commercial. Um, I auditioned for Gong Show and American Bandstand.
Shit, nice.
Yeah, all kinds of crazy stuff. And then in 1979, disco died. And I was doing these dance shows with Jeff Kutash's Dancing Machine. We were the first numbered share in Lake Tahoe at Harris Tahoe. And so I got to meet Cher, very nice lady. But when disco died and I was doing a dance show, this guy comes up stage and he's wearing a t-shirt and says disco sucks.
Oh, fight words.
Yeah. And then everybody was booing me.
Oh
wow.
Little did I know that disco actually died because
What
they took
happened?
all the
Did it?
they took all the they took all the disco records down in someplace in Philadelphia or whatever, this DJ, and he burned all of the disco records and people cheered him on and everything else. And
Wow.
at that moment of time, that's when disco died. And I didn't know it. I wasn't paying attention to the news at the time. And I was booed off stage and I said, oh shoot. So I got away from disco. People ostracized me. They didn't want to talk to me.
Wow.
I was
It
being
was,
ignored
it was
from.
that negative of a connotation to the
Yeah.
You were shunned.
You were shunned
Yes,
for
yeah, I
your
was
disco
shunned.
ability.
Right. Yeah. So from being a super popular guy
I'll be right
and
back.
everybody high fiving me when I go into the nightclub, now they turn their back on me, don't even want to talk to me. So one night I go to the movies and I'm watching James Bond. And I said, when I was in the army, I was always wondering what those military intelligence guys did. So the next day, I'm talking to the Army recruiter, and I said, I was watching, James Bond. Is military intelligence anything like that? And before I knew it, I was signing the dotted line. I was going back into the Army, going into military intelligence, 97 Bravo.
So if disco didn't die, you would still be you'd be breaking your records still.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably not now at this age. No. Yeah.
I heard about this. So I think what happened, why disco died, was it just got oversaturated. Like everyone was doing disco albums. Like even the Chipmunks maybe had a disco
Yeah,
album.
yeah.
Like Donald Duck was doing disco. But I heard that actually in Europe it didn't die, and it actually turned into house and techno.
Yeah.
Disco actually made the way for hip hop. Hip hop is directly sampled from disco. I mean, and funk as well. But disco was really what solidified it. And so we have to give props to disco because hip hop wouldn't be around without disco.
Yeah.
Like, did you ever see Giorgio Moroder play out there?
No. I did meet Monty Rock III, and he was the disc jockey in the movie Saturday Night Fever with John Travolta.
Nice.
So I became sort of like friends with him. I knew Cher.
OG DJs right there.
Wolfman
OG DJs.
Jack. I got to meet Wolfman Jack. He was actually one of the judges to my dance contest, in which I came in second place on that one. So yeah, I met a lot of different celebrities. Oh, and then also too, like if you Google Wikipedia disco and you go to the disco dancing part, you'll see me mentioned in there. So I'm up in there with Michael Jackson and all these other disco people, Donna Summers, everything else. So that's really, yeah, blew me away when I saw that.
You know, I have it queued up in the other room. I'm gonna see if I can switch scenes in my broadcasting software and play that video of the disco thing. I think it'd just be fun. So let me go see if I could do that
Okay.
real quick. We'll take just a minute or two to play that. Hold on.
Nice.
Um, I know you've been all around the world doing, military stuff, and
That's in California. A lot of places in San Francisco, Monterey. Um,
what do you think about the foothills gold rush? Gold. They're
yeah,
after our
but
gold for
they're
sure.
they're they're attracted to the gold.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, because even like the Sumerian clay tablets, they explained that the Anunnaki came down here. They were mining gold. They're using their own people, and their people say, "Hey, I'm tired of mining this gold," and so they started taking DNA from the primates and infusing it with alien DNA, and they made Homo sapiens, who became a slave race for the Anunnaki.
It
Yeah, I
sounds like I
believe
I
it.
totally missed out on some major plot points. Wow, I walked into something.
So
Are we
yeah,
talking reptilians here? What are we talking? Tall whites? What are we
Oh,
talking? The alien
gold
races?
gold hills, like up in the gold country, like how haunted it is because of the gold and the aliens. They're after our gold
Mm.
for sure. So just, I grew up there, always super spooky up there, man. So
yeah, and I was just telling them that the Anunnaki, they made a slave race by taking some of the primates here on Earth, infusing them with alien DNA, making a slave race to mine gold. Um, and this is in the Sumerian clay tablets. I mean, this is all recorded. And what's so interesting about the Sumerian clay tablets, it was written before the Bible, and all
wow.
your stories like the Garden of Eden and everything else is in the Sumerian clay tablets. It explains that the Garden of Eden was actually an experiment lab in which they were actually experimenting on this new slave race that they were creating. So it's long story.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of haunted places like the hills, it mentioned in your bio you did some investigations in Jamaica, Dominican Republic, and Haiti. Anything pretty wild out there going on?
Especially in Aruba, because I actually investigated Natalie Holloway's ghost.
Hmm.
People were saying that they were seeing a blonde haired woman walking along the beach, and possibly that was Natalie Holloway, the murder victim of Van Sloot, or I forget.
Vandersloot?
Yeah, there we go.
Vanderslut.
Yeah, Vanderslut. Yeah, Vanderslut.
But he got busted like murdering someone else like
Yeah,
a year
yeah,
later, right?
yeah,
So he
yeah.
was basically a serial killer.
Yeah, down in South America. Yeah. So anyway, so I did an investigation over there. I had a lot of people following me because they want to see if I can find Natalie Holloway's ghost. So we went to this one area of the beach where supposedly she was sighted at, one of the last place that she was seen. And I got an EVP, and it was a woman's voice, and everybody was quiet. And she goes, "Help me." And it just blew everybody's mind because they were saying that was Natalie Holloway that I captured on the recorder. Yeah.
Do you have like a theory of why these ghosts are still around? Like, is it like a purgatory state or something like that?
No, well, I believe also too the help me that we got was actually residual. It wasn't intelligent. Anytime you impact, oh, let me tell you, okay, I'm going to tell you a story about living ghosts. Does anybody here know about living ghosts?
No.
No? Okay, good. Okay. So let's get that campfire going again. Okay, so yeah, it's Twilight
Let it
Zone.
play. Let it roll. Let it roll.
1974, Chicago, Illinois. This couple moved into this house about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Here we go, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock thing. 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, they would see a man manifesting and walking towards the couch. On the couch would manifest a woman. The man would walk over to the woman and slap her. And then both of them would just dissipate, vanish. This happened several times. They saw these apparitions. On one particular day, they go to this block party. And the host of the block party says, "Yeah, we do this every year, blah, blah, blah." He goes, "You can look at our photo albums at the past events." So the lady's looking at the photo album and she goes, "Oh my God." She goes, "This photograph here, this man and woman are the ghosts that we see in our house." And the host looks at the picture and goes, "What? Ghosts in your house? What are you talking about?" He goes, "Yeah, they did live in your house. The police was there all the time because they had domestic disputes. They got a divorce. He lives 5 blocks down the road and she lives out of state." He goes, "They're very much alive." He goes, "I still communicate with them."
Oh wow. Okay.
And so what they were actually seeing was the residual energy, the negative energy that impacted the atmosphere that replays over and over and over again. And that's what living ghosts are. And I had a case over in Old Sacramento at Evangeline's. I was investigating Evangeline's, but on the third floor, they would hear sometimes, don't laugh, but disco music. Okay. Yeah.
The ghost of disco. That's how you knew it was dead.
Yeah.
You're like, I heard the ghost.
On the third floor back in the 70s, that was Deal Mills, which was a disco club. I used to go there back in the 70s. So they would hear shuffling of feet around, late at night, shuffling of feet. They would hear laughter and they would hear disco music. Well, the place up there is just a storage area. There's no people up there. But what they're experiencing are living ghosts. The atmosphere is so positive, not negative, but so positive, it impacted the atmosphere and it plays over and over again. My living ghost back in the 70s, the Disco King of Sacramento, could be up on Deal Mills in that storage room shuffling his feet.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
What about Haiti? Did you see any like serpent in the rainbow voodoo stuff out there?
Nice.
Yeah, when I investigated Haiti, I talked to a lot of people. Um, this one story that I got over there, if I remember it right, uh, this guy was messing around with this girl who happened to be the daughter of a voodoo priest, and he was given her some kind of drug, and he became a zombie slave for the voodoo priest. That's for messing around with his daughter. And I talked to him, I interviewed him, and he actually claims that at one point in time he was a zombie, and he didn't really have recollection of actually working on this farm, but people were telling him that they sighted him, the family members seen him, and they got him out of this trance. But they were saying that he was working on the farm for free.
I think you should have known better. You don't want to mess around a voodoo priest's daughter.
No, you should.
That's man. She must have been really cute because
He's like,
there you always got to weigh your choices in dating the voodoo daughters.
Is there a country song about this? Should we write a
There
country
is.
song?
There's
about
a Haitian song. It's got a reggae vibe. Oh man, that's yeah. Do you know? Did you ever hear anything about like that program they had in the 70s called like the MK Ultra in the government? I think they like started dabbling in some kind of paranormal, kind of psychic telekinesis things, and I was just wondering if you had any information or experience on that or anything.
Yeah, that was backed up by the military, and um, again, experiments, but conducted by our military. So MK Ultra actually goes into the Manchurian Candidate. So like Sirhan may have been involved in it, where he is signaled by some kind of word or whatever, and he goes on his secret mission for the government. And that secret mission was to assassinate Robert Kennedy, who was a senator at the time. So who knows? The government does a lot of strange things. They were giving people LSD at one time. Um, uh, they were experimenting with psychics, remote viewing. The Russians were doing it. Yeah, the government knows a whole lot. The government probably knows what extraterrestrials are out there, how many varieties have visited us, and everything else. So, I mean, when I was in military intelligence, I know for a fact they were investigating UFO activity because I actually saw the photographs.
Yeah, and that recently, I think we played it last time on the show, but they actually had what's it called? The CIA released some footage that basically they declassified. I'm looking at the Zoom chat. What does it say?
it says we're getting some buffering issues, and like your computer looks okay, but mine is buffering.
Yeah, I mean, I thought maybe it was my computer, but it's been, wheel well and buffering kind of the whole show. So
Really?
probably something we'll have to figure out, I guess. Maybe it's Zoom and
sunspots.
Twitch. Maybe Twitch and Zoom is too much, maybe.
Yeah. Let me go cancel out a couple of screens real fast. 1 second.
Still fixing all the bugs. Hey, we're all in this together, though, right?
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for chatting with us, Paul. Though, super appreciate your time.
Oh, no problem. No problem. It's been fun.
Definitely
Paul,
got open some holes for me to go down for sure.
Hey, Paul, on this, I don't know if you've seen the Netflix series Haunted. On one of the episodes, there is a house that's haunted where I guess the son back like a decade before was into like Satanism, and he had like trying to channel demons, and apparently he opened like some kind of portal. Have you ran into any of these like portal issues in any of your investigations? And like, how do you close a portal?
Okay. Yeah, my wife, she picks up on portals, and she'll tell me where a portal is. And a lot of times where she says there's a portal, the occupant of the house will tell us that they always felt there was a portal there. But we do uh, closing of portals. I do a prayer over the portal. I shut it down. So, and I'm pretty good at that. So, um, my nickname in the paranormal field is the Demon Warrior. So, I do chase after demons, I chase after ghosts, and I do close portals. And my wife, she assists me in closing the portal with her metaphysical stuff. She has a ton of stuff that she uses. Her smudging wands have different herbs, and that every herb represents a different spiritual connection or a spiritual way to handle these things like different entities or closing portals and stuff like that. So,
So you have like a
uh,
toolbox that you go
oh
to.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And our specialty, um, more or less, I let the investigators do their thing, but our specialty, my wife and I, is the cleansing part. I mean, yeah, sure, we investigate and everything else, but we are very good at cleansing.
And
So
then
you're pretty much
also,
living up to that living, saving the world pretty much, right? So that's pretty awesome that you're just causing so much positivity with, the tools that you have. That's great.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
well, you got all these assholes opening up portals. You got to have someone close them.
oh yeah.
The other thing too is I've seen like on some exorcisms, like there was like one of the first things they try to do in an exorcism is figure out the demon's name, and that way you can address it and then exorcise it. What do you know about that?
I mean, yeah. Sometimes I'll ask the demon's name, but you don't get a response. So um, every once in a while, the occupant of the house or something will already know the demon's name because the demon actually has communicated with her or him and said his name. So I don't really concern myself with the names of a demon. Um, but if a person feels like they have an attachment, I actually perform a full submersion baptism in their bathtub, swimming pool, whatever. And that's a basic form of exorcism. A lot of people don't know that. But yeah, if you have an attachment, that's how you get rid of it is a full submersion baptism. And every time I've done it, I mean, when I first started it, I had doubts that it's going to be successful. But I'm not a priest or anything else. I'm not super religious or anything like that. But I do believe what I'm doing will work.
Mhm.
And it does. And the occupant will call me and say, Paul, after that baptism, boom, I don't have that attachment anymore. I'm not having dark thoughts and everything else. So it seems to work.
We got about a 3.5 minute warning on the Zoom, and I'll just upgrade for next time to make this not happen again. So apologize for the stopping every now and then, everyone. But if we want to just turbocharge the next 3 minutes and potentially go into overtime, that's definitely an option, or whatever you want to do. Yeah. Anyone in the chat have any other questions that we want to ask for Paul?
Well, Nick had something about the Sacramento Underground. Right? Didn't you have a question about that? If you'd had done any investigating to the old town Sacramento Underground stuff.
Yeah. Um, I actually investigated the tunnels before they were open to the public. Um, to be really honest with you, I didn't get any EVPs. I didn't get any kind of paranormal evidence, but I was scared. I was scared of one thing. There was rats down there, and I hate rats. Yeah, so that scared me.
That's a real fear.
Yeah, especially big rats.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I did an investigation. A lot of people are thrilled. Ghost Adventures has been there and everything else, but I really didn't get nothing. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess we definitely cracked the egg open a little bit today, and it's one of those situations where you almost don't even know all the questions to ask until you actually do the interview, and then you gotta like let it marinate in your brain a few days and wrap your mind around all the stuff, and then come back to it and do some googling and stuff. So, yeah, I'd love to maybe have you on again at some point, or if you have any other
Oh,
people,
absolutely.
definitely, yeah, and on Twitch, it's definitely more of a raw format. I mean, everything's live, so it's with the mess ups. And what's funny about the mess ups is sometimes on Twitch when you're live, the mess ups is when the most people tune in. So, not tune in, but they like to watch the ship sink and you try to recover it. So,
Everybody loves a blooper.
yeah, no, exactly. The bloopers go over big. And do a couple shouts out to we got JRiz916. He is calling Paul an OG disco pimp. Hell yes.
Hey, Paul, if someone wanted to contact you, how would they get in contact with you?
Oh, okay. Very simple. Okay. All you have to do is call the paranormal hotline, and that's 916-203-7503. And I'll say it one more time, 916-203-7503. So you're welcome. I welcome people who want to attend our investigations. I'm good with that. Also, too, if you have a haunted house, hey, we're right there. So, yeah, give me a
Excellent.
call.
Excellent. Well, we have less than a minute left. I'd like to just thank you very much for being on the show, and I really appreciate everyone tuning in today. Big ups to everyone in the chat. We are hybrid aliens, Amberley. I agree. And the Anunnaki theory is really cool, she says.
Yeah.
And, well,